Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Life from the Inside Out with Kris. Before we begin with Kris's unparalleled metaphysical content, I know that many of you watching have felt a sense of being ungrounded, unhinged, or out of balance in these times. I know. I've felt this way too. Kris's teachings have similarities to popular ideas such as the law of attraction and the secret. The difference is that Kris's knowledge goes even deeper into reality creation and helps resolve many of the problems identified with the law of attraction. The information he shares helps restore grounding and that sense of balance that many of us have lost in these times. If you're ready for the law of attraction and secret 2.0 and want to be a part of this fantastic community, then hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment below, and press the bell icon so that you get notified when Kris releases cool, new metaphysical content. Kris also offers life-changing online seminars, private sessions, and mentoring sessions, which are all linked in the description below. Glad you're here with us, and let's jump into it. And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Life from the Inside Out with Kris. We've got another one of our episodes where we're going to have a group of panelists and friends, and we have some newcomers joining us today as well. And so I'm really excited to be with everybody and to continue this series. So it's good to be with you. Serge, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm very good. A couple of nice long walks with the dog today. A nice morning was rainy, but the afternoon rain came out super good and it's warm, and it was just a very nice day.
Well, excellent. So we're going to have a little community discussion. So for our viewers, I just want to introduce everybody that's on the call. And so, Alan, why don't you start?
All right, my name's Alan. I'm from Colorado. I've been with Kris long enough to get retirement, and that's about it.
Your check from last episode still on its way, Alan.
Yeah. I look every day, but
Yeah. So I'm Daniel Winkle. Been studying with Kris for distantly around 20 years, and been a more intimate part of the group over the last 7 or 8 years, and also hosting and co-hosting with Serge this series on Life from the Inside Out. And Rogel?
Hello, my name is Rogel. I live in Spain, in Barcelona city, and I knew Kris in a group of Seth in Facebook, because I was always has been following Seth for many years, and it was a comment of someone talking about the channelers around the world that were actually channeling different entities. And someone mentioned Serge that channeled Kris, and I was very curious, some kind of ring bell in the back of my mind. And I said, I have to take a look. And I just began to watch, and I was very hooked, so to speak. It was kind of shocking for me because it was so familiar, and I very easily resonated, and even I understood better Seth sometimes, better the teachings, the principles, and since then I have been always engaged. This was about 1 year and a half, more or less, or almost 2 years that I knew about Serge, and I am really amazed.
Oh, thanks so much for being here with us. Brian?
Hello, everybody. I've been with Kris and Serge since 2006. But before that, I read Seth Speaks when I was 14 years old. So metaphysics, spirituality has always been in my blood. And it was Paul Helfrich who turned me on to Kris around '05. And then I joined the group by going down to Alan Gilbert's place for the Sunday night meetings that we would all have on the ancient phones, speaker phones back then. And I've had many private sessions and have been in almost every workshop since 2006. So Whereas Alan could retire, I'm almost at retirement age.
All right, your check's in the way too. Yeah.
Thanks,
Lisa?
Hi, I've been studying with Kris and Serge just as long as Brian, a little bit longer than that. And just like him, been part of just about every single workshop that Kris and Serge have put together. It has been very helpful for my life, as I consider Kris's teachings like a mentorship kind of series. And so very helpful, has really helped me to grow and become who I am today, and helped me with all of the challenges that I have on a daily basis.
All right, thanks, Lisa. Barbara?
Hi guys, I'm Barbara. I'm from Canada, not far from Serge and Kris. So local, and just like Lisa, same thing. Long enough to be truly immersed in Kris's mentorship and all that stuff. Thank you.
And last but not least, Serge.
Hey, everyone. As I've mentioned in the past, I've been giving voice to Kris for literally 40 years. And it's been a very, very interesting journey from the get-go. It literally changed my world and changed me in not so subtle ways and subtle ways as well. And still, in a way, it keeps going on. I learn new things very, very frequently. And that alone for me is worth it. Explorations in consciousness and the human adventure, it's been my staple for all that time. And I've had an interest in this without knowing it since I was very young, maybe 9 or 10 years old. I had a very interesting experience, and it has stuck with me. And even to this day, I'm still exploring the ramifications of what came to my mind all the way back then as a kid. So, yeah, life is very interesting. It's as interesting as you make it.
All right, so well, thanks for that. Some food for thought there. That's one of our favorite topics, food at times.
Yes, we're all transcendental foodies.
So there'll be some transcendental cupcakes hidden in the episode. So, all right. All right. Well, I think we've introduced everybody, and what do you think? Time to bring Kris in and see what we've got planned for this episode.
Now we trust that you are all comfortable, and we thank you for your consideration. Donuts, muffins, and all.
Thanks, Kris.
One has to consider the very distinct possibility that life is indeed like a buffet, not just a box of chocolates, but a buffet, an all-you-can-eat buffet. And the only ones that are starving at that table are the ones who decide to not eat. So from our perspective then, your own particular journeys, your own adventures with your lives occur in multiple ways, and all of the outcomes are determined by the kinds of beliefs and expectations that you entertain. And there is indeed an interesting mechanism at work. We have in the past suggested that there is such a thing as the technologies of consciousness, meaning your feelings, your emotions, and your imaginings. So these are the tools that you use to build and create your particular experiences. Now, when you have this at your fingertips, literally, because everyone has feelings, emotions, and imaginings, you can actually utilize them in a most fascinating way. But it requires a little bit of trust on your part that the deepest parts of you, which we refer to as your all that is, does communicate with you all the time, but it may not necessarily do it via Amazon or FedEx or the postal system. It will communicate with you sometimes through the smallest little actions and impulses, sometimes so subtly that you might miss it. But if you do cultivate that little trust that your all that is, your inner self, does communicate this way, you might be most pleasantly surprised, specifically when you put your mind towards a specific intention, utilizing your feelings, your emotions, and imagination, and then hand it over to the mechanisms of consciousness, your all that is, trusting that what you have intended will find its way to you. Again, you might be most pleasantly surprised. And we will utilize a small example from Joseph's own experience this afternoon. So for a few days, Joseph has been communicating with a lady from which he will be purchasing a height adjustable table so that he can also stand while he is at his computer. The difficulty was finding someone to mind the dog, because the dog has a tendency to bark if he is left alone. None of the individuals who normally can mind the dog, even for just an hour, were unavailable. This was set for tomorrow evening. So Joseph understood that there may be, as he likes to say, a little glitch in the matrix. To his surprise, the lady communicated to him that there has been a change in her schedule and she is quite happy to actually deliver this desk to him this evening without any suggestions or worries at that level, because Joseph did not allow himself to begin to worry about the situation. He simply knew, okay, these people are not available. So he left it to that thing you call the universe. So it is a small thing, but it worked marvelously so. And we are simply presenting it because once you have set your intention, just like a machine, if you like, you flip the switch and turn it on. And in many respects, what you call the universe, what is often referred to as the universe, is an incredible mechanism that finds a way towards fulfilling your needs. So we present it simply to showcase that if such a little thing can be accomplished, imagine a big thing. It is simply set to scale. And you can achieve this very, very same process. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it
Yes,
does.
absolutely.
You call it the law of attraction. You call it conscious creation and so many other names. In reality, you are tapping into those very innate mechanisms that have been with your species since you have decided to manifest as a species. And you have always utilized these tools, even if you're not aware that you are doing so. And again, if you think about anything in your world, even a business, a house, a car, all the way up to a civilization and more, every single one of those things started as an idea through which you then directed your intention. And even if you do not necessarily know every stage and step involved, these things occur. So again, you want to have a house, you want to build a house, you have an idea, you approach the proper individuals, an architect, for instance, who will draw the plans and the blueprint according to your specifications, who will then communicate with contractors to begin the process of the foundation, digging the hole, the foundation, cementing the foundation, and building the infrastructure up until the process is completed. And that includes everything else, whether it is the plumbing, the wiring, whatever is necessary to see your dream to fruition. But the main point is this started with an idea. You drew it to your attention, you infused it with your desires, your energy, and you made it happen. You followed the processes that are available in your reality. But it is not the only way. This is one major way. But the other way is, even if you do not know how everything is going to come into your path, you can set your intention. And then literally drop it into the universe and allow it, your own inner universe, to bring it into your life. And we try to make it as simple as possible, because in truth, it is relatively simple, but at the same time, it is very, very complex. And yet all you have to do from your end is set your intention and let the mechanisms of consciousness themselves bring it to you. You may, for instance, wish you had a particular thing, whatever it is, and you forget it and you go about your day, and all of a sudden you come across that thing in a store, whether it is a thrift store, a brand new retail store, a friend is giving away something that is right in line with what you have desired. So by making allowances for it to reach you in any way possible, not just the way you think it should come to you, but any way possible, will bring about quite a nice little exchange of energy in that respect. The universe, whether it is your universe or if you think of it in an external universe, the universe itself is most highly creative, and it seeks the fulfillment of all individuals. And you seek your own fulfillment. So in that way, you travel similar paths. The universe is filled with desire, and so are you. Desires are not an impediment to spiritual knowledge, spiritual advancement, even what you call enlightenment. In fact, they are most necessary. All of this to say that in the simplest actions of your being, you will find the answers that you seek. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Might anyone have a question or an observation?
Well,
Chris, is there a difference with desiring, let's say, a situation, or as opposed to desiring an item?
An item or a situation, well, there is not that much difference except in your mind. The beauty of the process in line with desires is that you may have millions of desires, every single thought, and you have thousands of thoughts on a daily basis, all contain various seeds of desires, as well as all the potential to make that seed take root and grow. Not necessarily everything is aligned perfectly with you, because you will gravitate towards one set of thoughts or ideas more than others. However, an interesting other phenomenon does occur. You may gravitate towards one or two particular ideas because they are more in line with something that you desire. Say you have two thoughts in this way, but you have 100 other kinds of thoughts that you decide you will not charge with energy. What happens to those other thoughts? Now here is a very beautiful thing about the nature of reality, is that, as we suggested the other evening, you experience but a wisp of the true potential of reality, of dreamtime itself. That is your playground. But you are also multidimensional selves. So all manner of other variations of Lisa or Brian or anyone else here may have an attraction for some of the other ideas that you did not choose. And they may then explore those particular realities utilizing the very same principle, but for their own fulfillment, which would not really affect or influence you in any way, but it would certainly fulfill and entice their curiosity, their energy, and their creative potential. And altogether, whether you are aware of this probable self or not, there is a part or aspect of you and your mind that also derives understanding and fulfillment from the processes utilized by all of your other selves, just as they from you. There are no closed or dead-end streets here. There are no detours. Everything is communicable. So you enjoy those kinds of exchanges, and you might have a dream where something wonderful happened and you discovered new potential and new ideas for yourselves that may also have been shared in dream time with some of those other selves of yours, other aspects, other focuses. And it might inspire you, perhaps even to take a completely different direction in your life. Perhaps suddenly you recognize, and just for the sake of an example, that you would like to study law and become a lawyer, perhaps even a lawmaker. This is just for an example. And that particular seed was sown in the dream state because you saw a kind of potential for yourself that you might not have observed before. Or it could be a scientist, or it could be a computer programmer, or it could be a doctor. The main idea is that by becoming more familiar with your dreams, you can also discover an immense amount of potential that might not necessarily show up at your dinner table, for example. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, absolutely it does.
So, what do you mean, Chris? I dreamt about like becoming a businesswoman, even though I've never been one, and then I planted that seed, and now it's happening. Yes.
Yes. And this happens more than enough times, and individuals may not even know where their new desires, their new inspiration, their impulse to venture into these particular kinds of situations comes from, but it would have been shared in a particular dream state. And this again happens more than enough times. And especially if one is a little more cognizant, a little more aware of their dreams, then it can become accelerated. It can open additional doors to adventures. It can transform your lives, literally transform your entire lives. But the onus is on you, of course. Your desires, your understanding, and being open to such things and to growth in general. You may have a student, for example, that at the request or perhaps orders of their parents and family to go and study medicine or law. And after the first year, they are so disillusioned because their true desire was art or theater or choreography or something of that nature. And they may struggle with the situation, but the impulse to go in that direction is so strong that they might drop law or medicine and venture where they may have been told, don't go there. We want you to be a doctor. We want you to be a lawyer. But that individual may feel so strongly that they will move in the direction of their impulse and find the kind of fulfillment they had not dared imagine possible for themselves. And it may have come from the dream state. It may have inspired them to actually reevaluate their particular direction in life, their choices, and what other options might be available. And this would indeed fulfill them in a way that can only happen when you take the necessary steps in that direction. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, for sure. I just have one question. So it almost kind of reflects my life where I have been going towards, academia, research, and out of my control. So I thought I couldn't continue that, and I always felt for a long time I felt quite remorseful that I couldn't do that. And now I am totally interested in running a business, which has never been my. However, what I want to say is, what I want to ask is like, I felt that those events were outside of myself, that, I would love to actually go and do my research and follow my dreams of going higher in education, but it didn't happen. However, now looking back, I there would be a disaster, and I'm actually so much happier now. So I wasn't really cognizant about those choices, like you were saying, Kris. Um, so in other words, like, is my inner self drove me somewhere else against my will.
Are you interested in finding out the answer to Barbara's question? Then join us on the next episode, episode 15 of Life from the Inside Out with Kris. Looking forward to having you there. Thanks for watching, and if you would like to leave a question for Kris, drop it in the comments below. Myself, Serge, or someone from the Kris team will be checking and may use them to drive the discussion, put them in future episodes. So if you'd like to interact with the Kris community, feel free. Put your questions below, and we'd love to hear from you, and see you again next time.